Imagine building a business and investing all you have in it, only to have someone devastate and shatter it. This is a story of me, Xavier Oleum Robin, a small oil refinery business owner whose business, Xavier Oil, was ran over by John D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil Company during the 1870s Cleveland Massacre. I was a successful owner of Xavier Oil, a small oil refinery in Cleveland. It took me 10 years to build Xavier Oil. I still remember the first days when it all began. Life was good. We had a great team. We worked hard and earned a good living. Every day, the team and I would wake up early in the morning and go to the refinery. We said our morning's prayers together, had breakfast, and went to the field. Our days were long and work was hard, but we felt great satisfaction seeing the crude oil go into the refinery and then loaded into the barrels. We filled 100 barrels a day, and we got them to the railroad to ship to New York. Since we sold 100 barrels a day, we made $100 every day. I heard a knock on the door. A tall gentleman with a big mustache stood on the other side, introduced himself as an associate of the Standard Oil Company. He told me he worked for the Standard Oil Company and offered me to join him in getting great price for the railroad company for our oil delivery. He said we can get some discount and rebate if we work together. He said no one can compete with us, and that we would take over the old oil business. He seemed like a dishonest person, so I listened politely and told him I was not interested. A few weeks later, I went to buy oil barrels. We had a stock of 1,500 barrels in our facility. That gave us a little over 2 weeks of supplies. Once we began to run low, 300 to 400, we would buy more. I went to my supplier, and to my great surprise, he told me that he had nothing. I waited a day and came back. He was still out. Now, we only had 200 in stock, so I went to the two other suppliers in Cleveland, only to hear that they were all out of stock. My barrels ran out. I could no longer sell my oil and pay my workers' salary. My next action was to get out of state. I brought 2,000 barrels and rushed to ship them back to Cleveland. So I went to the railroad company and asked to ship my barrels. They refused. No matter how hard I tried, I could not compromise with them. They wanted $3 a barrel. I could not afford that much. No matter what I said, they would not ship my barrels for any less. At that moment, it all came clear. I remember that tall gentleman with a mustache who came to my office and told me about the special railroad deal, how no one could compete with him. And I knew it was him, the people from the Standard Oil Company. In order to get back home, I had to sell 2,000 empty barrels for half the price that I bought them for and go home empty-handed. I had to give my friends and employees the bad news. Later that month, I got a letter from John D. Rockefeller offering to buy my business for half the price that it was worth a month earlier. I sold him my company. Now, Xavier Oil had become another Standard Oil refinery. All my employees were fired and rehired for half their salaries. I became an employee for John D. Rockefeller himself, and haven't smiled ever since.